Hello again, everyone. This is Orime Karim. Welcome to the Quintessential Rebel Podcast. You see the smile on my face? Every time I'm on here, I have a big smile on my face because I have amazing guests every episode. I want to use this opportunity to thank you all for tuning in week after week. You guys have been phenomenal. Let's continue to tell our stories just the way we know to tell our stories. We don't want somebody else telling our stories because a lot of the time it is not our story or it's not accurate. But while we're still here on the face of the earth, let's use that opportunity to tell our stories in a very authentic way. Well, speaking of telling of stories, I have a very special gentleman in the studio today. I'm pretty sure that for those of you who live in the Kentuckiana area, you're familiar with this face, you're familiar with this name. Today we have the pleasure of having the one and only Babacar Sambe in the studio. He's originally from Senegal. He moved to the US in 2000. He's a photographer, graphic designer, videographer, a serial entrepreneur. He's an award-winning photographer. Let me tell you guys something. Consistently for 10 years, he won the Kentucky Urban Entertainment Award for 10 straight years. And after the 10 years, they had to retire him from nominations and from winning, and now awarded him the Living Legend Award. Listen, 10 years. He also got a proclamation from the mayor, Greg Fisher, when his business hit 10 years. He started his business in 2006 and he's been in the same location since then. He's a father to a 17-year-old young man. He covers celebrities in terms of photos, photography, and videographer. He's very cultured. He's dapper. He's also very involved in advertising events, building and showcasing the image of Louisville and Africa. He also won Kentucky Photographer of the Year. He has been published internationally in several magazines, and he also won Building the Gap Award by I. Kaluba. Listen, because of time, there's so many other accolades to this individual right here, that because of time, we have to shorten it because we want him to also tell his story. Babacar Sambe, you are welcome.
Hey.
Glad to finally have you here.
Thank you. I'm so glad to invite me.
Yes.
I'm very, happy and grateful.
Yes.
For this invitation.
Thank you for being here on the hot
Yes.
seat.
No problem. Yeah.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your story, about your life growing up in Senegal and then migrating to the US.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Babacar Sambe, and I'm originally from West Africa, Senegal. I was born and raised. So my father and my mother, into a really good family. They work in the government, So I was fortunate to went to one of the best schools in Senegal.
Okay.
So it was a private school, so really structured, always focused, So my dream was always, to come to the US when I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So after I graduated high school in 2000, I graduated in June, and then I moved here in October 2000. Yes. So when I moved here, I went to Louisville. I did photography, graphic design. I was going to, at the same time doing class at JCC as well.
Okay.
So I have my degree in actually commercial art.
Interesting.
So, commercial art, yeah. So commercial art, which is like commercial photography, also graphic design. I do like a lot of billboards here around the city. I'm the one that created them and designed them.
Oh, we see your handwork around the city.
Yes. Small businesses, I help them branding, when it comes to, advertising, flyers, business cards, banners, backdrops, for events, covering weddings,
Yeah.
school, schools, everything that has to do with photography. So I've been around for a long time in the city of Louisville.
Yeah. Was it hard moving at such a young age from Senegal to the U.S., and not just the U.S., but Louisville, Kentucky?
Yes.
Was there a culture shock? How did you learn to adapt?
I always knew, like, my goal was always to come here after high school. So, like, I was really focusing in English, because Senegal is a French, country.
Yeah.
French country. So English was like optional. It wasn't really mandatory to take it, but I knew I was going to move here, so I prepared myself.
Okay.
Doing English classes and stuff. When I was down there. So when I moved here, it wasn't really like and plus I had to take a test since Senegal was like a French country. I had to take a test, which was called, back then it was called TOEFL. I don't know if this TOEFL. I don't know if this is how that. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. So if you to be admitted to the university, because English is not your first language.
Yeah.
So I did that. I passed that. I was just, and then moving here. The first I was young. I was 18. So the first few months it was a little culture shock me a little bit. But my brother lived here. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So that helped a little bit.
That's why I ended up here.
Okay.
Because
Did you miss the food?
I
Tell
missed
the
food,
truth.
Yes. Because back then it wasn't.
Yes.
Because back then it wasn't like Louisville didn't have a lot of Africans.
Exactly.
So it was really like, then we didn't have an African restaurant until like 2000.
So how did you, like I said, was your brother living here in Louisville, or he was just in the U.S.?
No, my brother, he used to live in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Okay.
In the DC area.
So when you moved here, were you in Maryland or were you in
No.
Louisville?
So, when he first moved here,
Yeah.
he was in Maryland. He moved here like in 94. So one of his friends lived in Kentucky. And told him,
Okay.
it's a lot of opportunities in Kentucky.
Okay.
If you want to, come check it out.
Yeah.
So he came in 96 here in Kentucky.
Okay.
And loved it.
Okay, so you were living with him then?
No, so he was here first.
Okay.
So I came like in 2000.
Yeah.
So that's why I moved here in 96 and I moved here in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, and also I came with my mom too.
Okay, that helps, because I'm trying to picture
Yeah.
you as this young
Right, yeah. So
man
because my mom
living
was like,
alone in a completely different country.
Exactly. And plus then,
By yourself.
Yeah. Plus then, at that age, people didn't really go out.
Okay.
Out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, my classmates would go to France, Canada, because it was French, French.
Yes.
So,
So walk us through the journey.
yeah.
So you go to U of L, you start at U of L, and you're
Yeah.
taking some classes at,
Yeah, at the university. Yeah.
okay.
So.
How did you progress and walk us through that journey?
Okay. So like,
Becoming a
photography wasn't really my focus back
Oh,
then.
okay.
I was going for computer science in the
Oh,
beginning.
okay.
So, being an international student, I had to have full credit, full credit hours. So, one of the classes I wanted to take was already full. So the counselor was like, there's an elective class, you can just take something, humanity, theater class or photography or whatever, something that's fun. I'm like, okay, no problem, I'll take one, to complete my, so that was in order to have like full credit.
Okay.
So I took photography, which was like 3 credit hour. 2 credits. So I'm like, okay, this is neat. I like this. And then my teacher fell in love with me. I was like, yo, you are really creative. You are really and then even in school I was winning,
Okay.
competition. with the artists.
You've been with it for a while.
Yes, yeah. So, I took photo one. My teacher was like, I think this
Yeah, I
is
see the creativity
And
side.
then, yeah, right. I see that, plus, with the fashion and all that,
Yeah.
everything is,
Okay.
I see that.
So that creative side has always been in you, and it's interesting that you say that when you started, your goal was not to go into photography.
No.
It was
I
computer science.
I always loved, fashion.
Yeah.
And I always liked my dad had a lot of
Yeah.
cameras. Like back in the days, the film cameras, the films. He had a lot of those. He just had it there around the house.
Yeah.
Just taking, everybody about events. He just take this,
Yeah,
So
that's interesting.
yeah.
So there's something I wanted to touch on real quick before we move on with the rest of the questions. There is somebody in your life, your mom, your queen, that you talk about the Lord. You go home quite often
Yes.
to visit with her. She comes here quite often to visit with you as well.
Wednesday.
What? See, like
Just
the
comes
bond
here.
between you
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
is
really
just
tight.
is strong,
Yeah.
is inseparable.
Really
Talk a little bit about your mom.
Yeah, my mom is a strong woman. Very, very, very strong and powerful.
Yeah.
She worked. I was born to see her work being hard
Okay.
work. So like, she worked in the government in Senegal.
Okay.
She was the prime minister's secretary
Wow.
for a long time.
Okay.
You know, so I grew up, you know, like the kindergarten and going to kindergarten, going to like she'll pick me up,
Yeah.
you know, during lunch,
Okay.
go to the office, just seeing that, you know,
Yeah.
always been a hard worker, you know. When went to the best schools,
Okay.
you know, always make sure me and my brothers and sisters, it's five of us, you know,
Okay.
make sure we was, you know, put us on the right track.
Yeah.
Even when I was moving here,
Yeah.
she can make sure I was straight. First she came and she stayed.
Wow.
3 weeks.
Mother's love.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure I was good. And then I remember like teaching me how to do like prepare some meals.
Yeah. Can you prepare meals now?
Of course, of course.
Senegalese meals?
Of course,
Okay.
yeah. Jollof.
Listen.
I'm gonna.
Don't let us start this jollof war all over again.
Yeah, that's all over
We are already fighting with Ghana about
listen,
jollof.
we don't have to-
Then Senegal.
We invented-
You want us to start? You invented what?
Senegal
What did you
invented
invent?
jollof. That's all different.
It just started with one of them, jollof.
That's all
Listen, this war has been ongoing for a long time. Nigeria and Ghana, Nigeria and Senegal. You invented one.
Senegal-
Have you tasted Nigerian jollof? If you taste
Senegal-
Nigerian jollof, you will not go back. Let me talk about.
Senegal does not have to be in the competition because we created it.
Let me tell you something. Once you eat Nigerian jollof, there's no going back. We'll bring this competition back this year.
Exactly.
We had it a few years ago.
Right. We did it.
We won't tell you the country who won.
Senegal.
But it wasn't my country.
Right, exactly. So let's close it out.
We will bring back the competition to the city this
Yeah.
year. Let's see who is going to win. That's a whole other conversation.
Okay, so
But-
back to
yes.
back to
that.
So,
Yes.
so she came when we came. She made sure I was. She was actually on vacation. So like, I'm bringing you to make sure you're good.
Okay.
Show me how to, you know, iron. You know,
Yeah.
back then, you know, at home we don't do that.
Yeah, maids and all
You know,
that,
you
yeah.
don't. Yeah, you don't.
You
go
live
to-
in large when you're in
Yeah.
Africa.
Well, yeah, you can help me. They do everything for you. You clean up.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay, you're on your own now. So you gotta make sure you know how
Yeah.
to do your washing. You know, iron your clothes. You know,
Yeah.
prepare some meals. You know, so in those 3 months, 3 weeks she was here. She taught me.
Will you say, sorry to cut you off, but will you say, because every time we see you a lot in the city and you're busy, I don't even know how you have time. I have a busy schedule, but then I see you and how busy I think your life is, always working, and it's amazing when you say that value system was instilled in you by your
Yes,
parents,
yes, yes.
especially your mom.
I would say my parents, yeah. My parents, both my parents, my father and my mother, they, you know,
Yeah.
I grew up both of them being, you know, hard work. My dad, you know, he was an accountant. He was handling most of the, like, the big businesses over there. You know,
Yeah.
he was an accountant. So, and when my dad, you know, just growing up, just seeing them always, you know, working hard, you know, always, because the school I went to, like, you know, it was, you know, private school, so like, we lived a little before the out from, you know, the school, so
Yeah.
just getting up early, making sure we correct, you know, taking us to school, dropping us, going to work. Every day, like, that was already installed in us, you know. So, and then when my dad passed away in 1995, Mom took over.
Okay.
And it was like, doing both roles,
Wow.
and seeing that, it's like, I have no choice but to, you know, to be like hard work.
What would you say your greatest accomplishment till date has been?
Greatest accomplishment,
It can be anything. But what would you
Anything.
say your
I feel it's a couple of them. I would say just, you know, get recognition from the people,
okay.
you know,
From the
from the
community?
community.
Okay.
You know, I didn't ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
when awards comes, they just tell, hey, this is an award coming up.
Yeah.
Nominations are open. People nominate. There's 20 people get nominated, and then the voting, you know, start. I don't ask for it. You know,
Yeah.
just people just, you know, see the grind and the work
Yeah.
and the
But you don't take
consistency.
that for granted.
You know, I think that's like one of my biggest accomplishments, just from coming from the people.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's a blessing, you know, from God. But just, you know,
What would be the second one?
not being from here and then, you
Yes.
know, accomplishing that.
Yeah.
And then the second one also, like, you know, getting a proclamation from the mayor.
Okay.
You know, like, that's definitely like coming from, like, you know, when I hit my 10 years, you know, proclamation was given because I've been serving the community for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been involved with a lot of small businesses, evolving, you know, yeah.
How do you infuse, or do you think there's an infusion of your culture, your Senegalese culture, and into your arts? Do you feel like it's heavily influenced?
Of course.
How do you infuse that, or how have you managed to infuse that into your storytelling and into your photography?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows because I love colors.
Okay.
You know, in Senegal, like we are pretty much most African countries. You know, colors is really like a big, you know, colorful, like you have to color, you know, dress and stuff like that, you know. So the colors, you know, combining colors, you know, and then also like trying to just trying to see how, like, when I have a client, you know, if something is off, you know, putting them together,
Yeah.
you know, like in a way, like, not because it's my product, you're gonna come in a certain way. If I see something that's off,
Okay.
I'll give my opinion
Okay.
about it and fix it. And most of the time, 99% of the time, people are like, oh yeah, all right.
Okay.
You know, so this, you know,
Yeah.
you're right. So yeah.
Let's stay on that for a few minutes. You cover a lot of the celebrities who come to the city as well.
Yeah.
Yes. How have you managed to build trust and rapport around your art, even while giving what you say is your creative art's opinion? How have you even been able to build trust, not just with us here in the community locally, but also with the celebrities that come to town, that you are a repeat,
Right. Yeah.
you're in demand constantly.
Right. Yeah. So like I work with a lot of promoters, you know, like over the years, you know. So whenever like a celebrity comes in, you know, the fact that they trust me enough to do like a private session with them or to cover their, you know, their events, you know, and then a lot of time like those content, the artists, celebrities, they use it, and plus also the promoter, whoever brings it to town, also use those images.
Yeah.
So, you know, just, and then plus coming always looking correct. And the celebrities, they want to be comfortable too, with, you know, with somebody that they're working with. You know, whenever I come and show up, I just act normal, you know, just like another, you know, another, you know, individual, another client. And that's how I, you know, maintain a lot of, you know, business with that.
What would you say has been the most challenging shoot till date? And you're like, oh Lord, I'm glad it's over. I mean, I'm glad that this was a challenge.
Muhammad Ali, when he passed away.
Okay, I was there.
You was there.
I was there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my office.
Why was it challenging? Why was it
I mean, it's just okay. Muhammad Ali was huge all over the world.
Yes.
You know, big. I mean, really about Muhammad Ali, you know,
Yeah.
growing up, you know. So having to end up him being from Louisville, Kentucky, and you know, when he passed, like the funeral home was like next to my office.
Oh, okay.
So like my office is right there. And then I remember like a couple of days prior, they brought the body, you know, to the funeral home and stuff like that. So the day of the, you know, it was, you know, when they do that from Bardstown Road all the way down, you know.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first people that captured that. There was a whole lot of magazines that was here, every magazine, it was so many of them, all of it was CNN, you know, and some of those pictures were brought all over the world. Yes, that I took.
Yeah,
and,
I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that.
And we brought out all over the world. Like there's news I was using it, you know, from Turkey.
Wow.
You know, all over, you know. So yeah, I think that was really, you know, something. And then we went to a young center. He was there, you know, just being up having that coverage, you know, and then being able to witness it. That was I think that was like challenging at the same time, like really, you know.
If you were to go back in time, many years ago, many years now, will you still choose this career?
Of course.
Does it come sometimes where it's not necessarily regret, but things that you wish maybe you would have done? Or will you still be in this time and space?
I wouldn't change anything.
Okay.
Yes, anything. So yeah. So like just the fact that like it's not even only the photography, but the fact that seeing joy in people.
Yeah.
let's say when I do weddings and stuff like that,
Yeah.
capturing the videography and the photography, and then people having to live it. And those are memories for life. That's one, and it seems that, people will be crying sometimes when I show them the images, like that. And also being able also to build people's confidence as well.
Yeah.
When I do photo shoots and, people confidence, goes, and I always encourage. So I'm like a counselor at the same time too, it's like, yeah, you are beautiful, you are.
Because a lot of times the way people view themselves
Exactly.
is different from,
It's different.
they might think, oh my gosh, I get too much money, oh my gosh, I don't want to
Right,
today,
right.
oh my god, this and that. And then when you capture the image correctly, it gives them a different
That's
view of
self-confidence.
themselves. Yes, there's
That's
self-confidence.
Yeah, it boosts your self-esteem and everything. And sometimes it's not even, it's just happen naturally when I do that.
How have you been able to juggle life? Especially in the United States of America,
Yeah.
where you pretty much have to do everything on your own.
Yeah.
How have you been able to juggle life, career, business, your son, and everything else that is around you?
Growing up, my parents, being hard workers, always being able to juggle, like my mom, when my dad passed away, she maintained, life didn't change, everything was given. She tried to make sure nothing has changed,
Yeah.
So seeing that is like, nothing is, hard for me, whatever it is, I take, and then my personal life at the same time, I'll make time for that.
Okay.
At the same time, being able to deliver
Yeah.
what's needed to clientele and everything.
How is raising a son?
Oh.
How is raising a son here? Because I know raising children here is quite different from the way we were raised back
Exactly,
home.
yeah.
But what are some challenges that you have had to deal with, overcome, and some that you're like, oh my goodness, I wasn't expecting this?
Yeah.
So how has raising a 17-year-old, a grown,
Yeah.
well, in America they say they are grown.
Exactly.
We still say you're 17.
Still there.
But,
Yeah,
how have you managed?
It's like he sees me as a hero, because he sees the accomplishment. Like when I received my award for living legend, I took it.
Yeah.
So that way he can
Okay.
see,
Okay.
and
You
then-
call him your mini
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So he copies a lot of things I do. So he sees that. I was blessed enough that he's not a trouble child.
Okay. Okay.
He's really chill.
You don't believe in whooping. That's a whole other conversation, okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whipping back to shape.
Bring it back to the real house.
Listen, that was how we grew up and it
Right.
worked,
It's
okay?
true.
It's a whole other conversation when we talk about parenting here.
Parenting in Africa,
Because
yeah.
they call that child
Totally
abuse, and I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, we're gonna have a
Sure.
whole conversation about
That's a whole
that
debate.
sometime.
A whole
Yes.
debate.
Yes, there are a lot of things
Yeah.
we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But,
yeah.
but one thing I wanted to ask you is, being a man in America, a lot of times men are stigmatized. A lot of times, black men especially, go through so much, from police brutality to the narrative out there, which is not 100% correct, about black men being deadbeats, which they are not, or most of them are in jail, which they are not. There's a lot of narrative out there about black men, which are not accurate, but we've been made to believe a lot of things about black men. What has your experience been, a black man living here, and also trying to change that narrative? Maybe through your storytelling, maybe through your creative arts, or maybe just being you.
Yes.
What has that experience been?
Yeah, so my goal is always to educate the younger generation. I do a lot of school, career day, different schools, a lot of different schools for black men, and showing them, especially minorities, what you can do. Anything you want to do in life is possible. When I moved here, my vision was to be successful, to be able to, be an example.
Yeah.
So, setting that example helps the other generation as well.
True.
Of course, there's going to be obstacles, You know, because racism is everywhere. You know, of course we're gonna face it, but
What do you mean you don't face it?
I say everyone's gonna face it.
Oh, everybody's going to face it.
Everybody.
Okay.
Nobody's exempt to it.
Okay.
Nobody is like anybody can face it. So, not make excuses. You know,
Okay.
to me, like do as a black male, you know, do your part, especially raising children, because your children look up to you. You know, try to do your best. You know, because sometimes you can do anything you can, and then your kids go a different way. You know,
Sure.
you know. But do your best to the fact that, like, even if they go left, you will have done my part as a father. You know, and it's not easy for black men.
Yeah.
It's not. We face a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you always have to work twice as hard. Racism, like, you face that a lot of times. You know, and it's not even about, you can be talented and everything, you know, and that can be, you know, very, but I don't focus on that.
Yeah.
Focus is the people that support you, the people that's like, you know, I've been blessed in Louisville to, you know, this type of support
Yeah.
from the community, from both communities, the African communities,
Yes.
the American, you know, African American community, just from everywhere. You know, and speaking different languages also helps me a lot.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak Wolof,
Okay.
which is my native language. You know,
Okay.
French,
Okay.
you know, they all fluent.
Yeah.
English,
Okay.
you know, Spanish, and then a little
Oh, you speak Spanish?
Yes.
Nice.
And then a little bit Arabic.
Say something in Arabic.
You know. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Say something in French.
Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Mon nom c'est Babacar, Sambe.
Okay, multilingual. All right, so one last question that I have for you
Yes.
is to address our young men, our young boys, who maybe are not fortunate enough to have a Babacar Sambe in their life. Maybe they're not fortunate enough to go to the best schools. Maybe they too have a lot of challenges that they deal with, from peer pressure to bullying to anything you can imagine. That you were once a young man, a small boy yourself. You know the challenges that you faced. But there's so much more in our society today with the social media presence. Talk to our young boys.
My first thing is like, everything starts with like having belief in yourself, confidence.
Yes,
Because with confidence, that's where the foundation is. When you have confidence, you can pretty much like accomplish, you know, anything you want to. Like I tell a lot of, you know, like when I do the career days and stuff, when you believe in something, focus on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm a prime example of that. You know, I was never the type that would fall for peer pressure, you know, or, you know, just because somebody did something, I'm gonna do it to be cool, you know. Like, everybody don't have the same, you know, upbringing. Like, you're not fortunate enough to go to the best schools, you're not fortunate enough to, you know, have good people around. But as a, you know, an individual, have confidence in yourself. I think that's the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
Because when you have that, nobody can make you do something you don't want to do. Or, you know, and then also be focused. You know, focus. Yeah. Anything that derails you in a different route, avoid it. You know, avoid it. All that fun stuff will come later. You know, but as a young, like my goal was you know, when I moved here as a young, you know, African, you know, man, you know, to be was like this focus to avoid anything that's destructive. Yeah. And that helped, you know.
Yeah. Thank
It
you.
helped, yeah.
Thank you. And two things. Tell us how people can reach you in case they need photography, banners, videography, all the work that you do. How can they get in touch with you? And then we're going to have you, you know, show us your awards over there.
Yeah.
But before we do that, can you tell the people how they can get in touch with you?
Yes, I'm located on Boston Road. Everybody familiar to Boston Road. It's 4229 Boston Road, Louisville, Kentucky, 40218. And my social medias is Babacar Sambe on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's Babacar SAMBE. And then my phone number is 502-819-1799. Yes.
All right. And show us what you have there.
Yes,
I
so
want to see that.
this was,
And,
I didn't bring everything, all of them, I just brought.
of course, he will need a truck
Right.
to put everything
Right,
inside,
yeah.
to put all the water in.
So this one is like a proclamation, what I will see.
Okay, from the city?
From the city, yeah.
Mayor?
So, the mayor.
Okay.
So April 14, just coming up, which is Babacar Sambe.
Okay.
That's when I'm attending.
You have your own day in the city,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
activity.
yeah, from
Yeah.
just the community,
Yeah.
just being somebody that just helping branding people, helping everybody elevate and be successful, branding everything.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was proclamation. That's really symbolic.
Yes.
So because it came from the mayor,
Mhm.
Then the so the other one, which is the living legend.
Living legend, I love that.
Living
Yes.
legend, which is
This was when he was retired.
yeah. This is when I was retired from the competition. I can't even be nominated. Yeah. So it's a it's a blessing.
Yes.
Just like to me, it's like you have nothing to prove.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah.
That's what-
We're not in the business of proving nothing to
Exactly.
everybody anyway. Anybody
Yeah.
knows me.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're not in the business of that,
Right.
but yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Babacar Sambe,
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
on the hot seat.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I was invited.
Yes, you're most welcome.
I wish this is going to be like more and we have more and more guests. and
Amen,
be successful.
amen,
We
amen
also
to
do a lot
that.
in the community, the Nigerian community, the African community, the African American
Thank
community. You do a whole lot.
Thank you.
Stuff behind the scenes. Some in front.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
I know.
that.
So
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
Yes, and on that note, this is the end of the Quintessential Rebel podcast for today. I hope you guys continue to tune in. Thank you guys for the support. If there is any topic that you would like us to cover, please send us a message and we will try our best to oblige. Thank you all very much and have a great day.
Thank you.